Today we're going to take a look at Pachanoi Riells, which I've produced quite a few varieties of seeds with. Most people prefer strains of San Pedro that tend to be bluish or fat, but that is not what Riells is. It doesn't get blue and it's not particularly fat either. On the flip side, it grows fast and has a very unique look and spination, which has much appeal. I was told about this plant by my good friend Curiel, who knows a lot of San Pedros in Spain, especially in the Catalan region. I put his Instagram on the screen in case some of you want to contact him. The mother plant is located in the town of Riells in Catalonia, inside a private property. The owner has always known the plant, as it's been in the family house where he grew up for as long as he can remember. Once a year, he trims the plant, which is necessary due to the size and weight of it. If it wasn't trimmed, large pieces would eventually fall down and damage the roof underneath. Whenever he trims this plant, the cut pieces are collected by another friend of his who organizes ceremonies on a rather low-key level. He doesn't grow any of the pieces he collects, he cooks them all, and the following year he gets another lot. He only swears by this particular strain. So, 3 years ago, just before one of the yearly trims took place, Curiel called me to see if I would be interested in tagging along and possibly grabbing a couple of pieces. Of course I was. On that day, I met the owner of the house, as well as his friend who organizes the ceremonies, both super nice guys. After getting to know each other around a cup of coffee, or tea, I cannot remember, the owner of the house grabbed a ladder and climbed on the roof of a shed to cut several pieces. Standing on it looked quite dangerous to me. I'm glad I didn't have to do it. The cut pieces crashed down onto the ground, which was a rather damaging process. It doesn't matter if it's to eat the pieces, but for me who was interested in the flower buds, my jaws were clenching every time a piece smashed onto the ground. A big thank you to the owner, who didn't even want any money for the cuts, and also to his friend, who didn't mind having a few less pieces to cook. Although what you see here is mostly Pachanoi Riells, there are two other cacti mixed in. On the right, you can clearly see a cereus, but there is also some kind of Trichocereus macrogonus or peruvianus, if I remember well, which hides behind Riells. This is some of the harvest. On the right, you might be able to see that some of the pieces had flower buds on them. These are the pieces that I took home. Some of the flower buds got ripped when they fell down, but others were still attached and later successfully flowered. Pay attention to this small piece here. It's from a large piece that fell right onto its tip and the tip got smashed. Obviously, none of the buds on this tiny piece turned into a flower. In fact, I expected it to die, since there was only a few ribs and the center core was missing. So I just placed it on top of some soil, and much to my surprise, it rooted and even grew a branch. That was not expected, as I remember that the center core was missing. My guess is that a small part of the center core was still attached to the ribs, and that was enough to carry on life. Here's a larger one of the cut pieces a couple of weeks later at my place. And you can see a number of bruises from when it hit the ground. Also, there are tons of buds. In fact, there were more buds than that, but some of them got ripped. Riells flowers quite heavily. If you're looking for a plant that will one day produce a lot of flowers, any cross with Riells should be a good choice. Not every one of these buds turn into flowers, which is normal because this is just a cutting. It cannot store all of the energy and nutrients needed for so many buds to flower. So what happens in a case like this is that the plant will choose some flowers that will develop fully, while others will drop at the bud stage. In other words, instead of making all the flowers happen and then the plant running out of energy, it selects only a few of them and aborts others. When the flowers were fully opened, they were particularly wide, looking a bit like a funnel. For those of you interested in producing your own San Pedro seeds, Riells is not just interesting because it can produce a lot of flowers, but also because the seeds are some of the easiest to clean I've ever come across. The flesh dissolves with water and leaves the seeds with no residues. Interestingly enough, the seeds are smaller than typical San Pedro seeds, and they also give a small percentage of albino plants. If you treat these white seedlings the same way as the other seedlings, they will die, because they lack chlorophyll, which is what gives them the green color. These albinos cannot survive without chlorophyll unless you graft them. There is a gentleman called Robert who grafted one of these albinos and it survived. The whole thing was documented on Reddit. Not only did it survive, but it turned out to be a variegated plant. First it was all yellow, then a green stripe appeared, and later on there was enough green to ensure the survival of this plant even once degrafted. However, it has to be specified that this was a cross with Terskeki ivy, which has a tendency to produce variegated plants. I'm not sure if you would get a variegated seedlings from a Riells albino that doesn't have Terskeki ivy as a parent. If you graft albinos from other Riells crosses, please let me know the results. That would be interesting. I have been able to cross Riells with a variety of strains and species. As always, the crosses where Riells is the mum, which means Riells received the pollen and produced the fruit, will be genetically the closest to Riells. Currently, I have the following available: Riells times Pachanoi Cerdaniola A1, Pachanoi Cerdaniola A3, Pachanoi Francis, Pachanoi Maya Pilar, Pachanoi Pagoda, Bridget C. Blue Mystic, and finally Bridget C. CLB3. I also have the opposite, where Riells is the dad and gave pollen to another strain or species. Here you can expect Riells to have a minor genetic part. Currently I have those available: Pachanoi Cerdaniola A1 times Riells, Pachanoi Cerdaniola A3 times Riells, and Pachanoi Francis times Riells. If you want a list of all the seeds that I currently have available for sale, please send me an email mentioning your country, and I will email you that list together with photos and prices. You will find my email address in the description of this video. I will also make it appear on the screen now. It's sanpedromastery@protonmail.com. Before I let you go, I would like to mention that a friend of mine in the Netherlands is selling his indoor growing equipment. He has used it to grow San Pedros from seedlings to adults with very impressive results. They have grown super fast. He sells 2 Gorilla grow tents, a small one and a large one, and those are excellent quality. He also has a couple of Lightwave T5 fluorescent light, which are the same one I use to start cacti from seeds. He also has 2 Spider Farmer LED lamps, a model 2000 and a 7000, plus a Prima Clima temperature control fan and some heating mats with thermostats. So basically you can get the whole complete gear you need for growing cacti indoors in one go. Or if you're interested in only some of the items, that's probably fine as well. He lives near The Hague in the Netherlands. Obviously, he would prefer someone to drive to his place and pick it up in person rather than shipping it. But in any case, this is something you can discuss with him. If you want to contact him, please send me an email and I will forward it to him. I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be more of these videos where I tell you a bit more about the history of my clones. Thanks for watching and see you soon.